Okay, now I'm going to try playing the trumpet. Go Big Green! What do you think? Today's lesson is simple and compound interest. We're going to solve simple interest problems and solve compound interest problems. Today's Indiana Academic Standard is 8.2.2. First, we're going to talk about simple interest formula. The formula is I equals PRT. It's important that you understand each part. The I is the interest that you earn. The P is the principal. The principal is how much you actually put into the account or how much you borrow. The R stands for the interest rate. That's going to be your percent per year. And T is the time in years. It's important that you realize that for simple interest, it's figured over years. Now the compound interest formula is B equals P times the quantity 1 plus R to the nth power. B is the balance. That's how much is going to be in your account. The P is still the principal. That's how much you invest or how much you borrow. The R is the interest rate that you're earning for each period. And the N stands for the number of interest periods. It depends on whether they calculate it yearly, which is usually annually, semi-annually, which is twice a year, quarterly, which is 4 times a year, or monthly, which is 12 times a year. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. The principal is the money you deposit into an account. Interest is the money that the bank pays you on your investment. The interest rate is the percent the bank will pay you for your investment. Simple interest is interest paid only on the principal. Compound interest is when a bank pays interest on the principal and on the interest an account earns. Balance is the principal plus the interest. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Example number 1, finding simple interest. Suppose you deposit $1,000 in a savings account that earns 3% per year. Find the simple interest earned in 2 years. Find the total of the principal plus interest. Since we're using simple interest here, we're going to use the formula I equals PRT. We're going to replace the P with 1,000 because that's our principal. We're going to replace the R with 0.03 because 3% written as a decimal is 0.03. We're going to replace the T with 2 because we're earning interest for 2 years. So 1,000 times 0.03 times 2 is 60. For the total, we're going to take 1,000 plus 60, which is 1,060. So the account will earn $60 in 2 years. The total of the principal plus the interest will be $1,060. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. For example number 2, we're going to use a table. You deposit $400 in an account that earns 5% interest, compounded annually once per year. The balance after the first 4 years is $486.20. What is the balance in your account after another 4 years, a total of 8 years? Round to the nearest cent. We start by finding the interest that's earned in year 5. So we take $486.20 times 0.05, and we get $24.31. We add that to the $486.20, and we get $510.51. That becomes the beginning balance of year 6. So we take that beginning balance of $510.51 times 0.05, and we get $25.53. We add that to our 510.51, and we got $536.04. That's our beginning balance for year 7. So we take $536.04 times 0.05, and we get interest of $26.80. We add that to the $536.04, and we get an ending balance of $562.84. That's our beginning balance for year 8. We take $562.84 times 0.05 to find our interest earned, which is $28.14. We add that to the $562.84, and we get $590.98. So the balance in the account after a total of 8 years is $590.98. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. To me, an easier way to find this is using the compound interest formula. Find the balance on a deposit of $2,500 that earns 3% interest compounded semi-annually for 4 years. The interest rate for compounding semi-annually is 0.03 divided by 2, or 0.015. The number of payment periods, N, is 4 years times 2 interest periods per year, or 8. So we use our compound interest formula of the balance equals B equals P times the quantity 1 plus R to the nth power. Our principal is $2,500. Our interest rate is 0.015, and the number of periods is 8, so N is 8. So we have 2,500 times the quantity 1 plus 0.015 to the 8th power. When you solve this, I want you to take a moment and try it on your calculator. Take the 1 plus the 0.015, take that sum to the 8th power, then multiply it by 2,500. You're going to get a decimal that's longer than what I have shown here of $2,816.23, but you have to remember, since we're dealing with money, we have to round it to the nearest cent. So the balance is $2,816.23. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Try quick check number 1A and B on your own. We're simply finding simple interest, so you're going to use the I equals PRT formula. Pause the video, try the problems. When you're ready, start the video again to check your work. Keep track of how well you do. For number 1A, start with the formula I equals PRT, then fill in what you know. I equals the principal is $250, the interest rate is 4%, so 0.04, and the time was 3 years. So $250 times 0.04 times 3 is $30. For B, we have to really read carefully. Again, we're going to use I equals PRT, the principal is $250, the interest rate is 3.5%, so that's written 0.035, but what to pay attention to here is the time. It's 6 months. Remember that simple interest is figured annually, yearly. So our time frame isn't even going to be 1. It definitely won't be 6. It would be 0.5 or 1/2, because 6 months is half of a year. So 250 times 0.035 times 0.5, rounded to the nearest cent, is going to be $4.38. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Try quick check number 2 on your own. Pause the video, complete the table, and then check your work. The balance at the start of the first year is $500. To find the interest, we're going to take 500 times 0.03. So our ending balance is $515. That's the beginning balance of the second year. 515 times 0.03 is $15.45. Add that to the $515 and you get $530.45. So our ending balance is $530.45. So the balance in the account after 2 years is $530.45. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Try quick check number 3, A and B on your own. Pause the video, try to work them out, then start the video again to check your answers. For this final quick check, you're going to find the balance for each account. There's an annual deposit, or the amount of the deposit is $900. There's annual interest at 2%, and the time is for 3 years. The first one, we're going to compound it annually. So that means there will be 3 times that the interest rate is figured. For B, it's compounded semi-annually, so it's 6 times, but your interest, because it's compounded annually, that's twice a year, the interest rate would be only 1% that we figure in the problem. For the first problem, when it's compounded annually, we're going to start with our formula. B equals P times the quantity 1 plus R to the nth power. We're trying to find the balance. We know that the principal is $900. The annual interest rate is 2%, so we're going to take 1 plus 0.02. Our exponent is going to be 3 because it's compounded annually, which means just once a year. So when we take all of this, 1 plus 0.02 to the third power, multiply it by 9, you should have done it on your calculator and gotten $955.09. Remember, we round to the nearest cent at the very end. Wait until the end to round. For B, we're still doing compound interest, so B equals P times the quantity 1 plus R to the nth power. Our principal is still $900, but then things change. Our interest rate will only be 1% because it's compounded semi-annually, which means twice a year, so we have to take the annual interest and divide by 2. So that's 1%, which is 0.01. Our exponent is the number of times it's actually figured. Since it's semi-annually, that's twice a year for 3 years, so it would be 6. So we have 900 times the quantity 1 plus 0.01 to the 6th power. When you take 1 plus 0.01 to the 6th power times 900, you get $955.37. Again, we rounded to the nearest cent. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. I want you to be the judge of how well you did on this. So, if you got every one of the quick check right, put a smiley face. If you only missed one of them, go ahead and still put a smiley face. If you missed a couple of them, maybe put a straight face. And if you missed all of them or didn't know how to do them, put a giant question mark.